Hello, boils and ghouls. This week I watched Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. And if this outfit looks familiar, yes, I am channeling my inner Belly Rosewood, complete with handcuff bracelet. This was a good movie from a nostalgia standpoint, which as a millennial appeals to me greatly. Was it a little predictable? Yes, I saw Kevin Bacon coming a mile away, but my favorite part was Shooter McGavin showing up on the golf course. Now, Eddie Murphy was peak Eddie Murphy, and if you've seen any of his other movies, that's exactly what you're getting, okay? If you've seen any of the other three of these, if you've seen Nutty Professor, Coming to America, whatever, that's what you're getting in this. It's like he hasn't missed a day. It also looks like he hasn't really even aged a day. Good for him. And I think that's what contributed to the very familiar feeling for me, right? He was the Eddie Murphy you expected to see. Wasn't really like trying too hard or awkward to watch or anything like that. So I really enjoyed that. Because, you know, once it's been so long since you've made like another movie in a series, it can get a little bit weird, you know? And it is a little bit like that with Billy and Taggart. I still love them. I think they're great. But that happens, right? But yeah, this movie wastes no time getting into the Axel Foley shenanigans. And there's a lot. There's a lot that goes on with this movie. There's like 3 car chases and a helicopter incident. So it starts off with Axel going to a hockey game with another detective. I think they might be partners. It's not really explained. Who apparently is like an Axel Foley fanboy, right? And this poor guy just thinks that Axel wants to hang out with him and maybe get to know each other better outside of a professional setting and maybe be friends. And it turns out that he was just using him to like crack down on this like robbery that's happening, all while telling this guy, you can use it to get a promotion. Like, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing this for you so you can get a promotion, which we never circle back around to. So I don't know if that guy even gets a promotion because we never see him again. Okay, he's involved in the first car chase, but it's not really a car chase, it's a snowplow and what looks like an ATV. He's pretty much just there to establish Axel as still working as a cop. What I wasn't expecting from this movie was the underlying parent-child relationship theme, the working through estrangements and kind of like therapy sort of vibe that you get as like a sub-story between Axel and his daughter Jane, and also Jane's ex-boyfriend who is a detective in Beverly Hills. But she talks to him as if he tries to therapize her, so I don't know if he also has been a therapist, but like, I don't know, it's weird. And Axel's a little obsessed with Jane and Bobby's past relationship. It's kind of strange. But yeah, the minute you get into this movie, stuff's already happening. Like, I think that snowplow chase is like 7 minutes into the movie, so immediately you're in the action, right? Although for an action comedy, just like the other ones, it reads more as a comedy. The chases aren't really high stakes. It's not like a Fast and Furious kind of movie. I think, personally, that this movie should have opened with Jane and her situation. You know, she's working on this case with this kid who was doing a job for his uncle, and it seems like it was a setup, and she doesn't think he's really involved in what they're accusing him of, and that leads to her being put in a very dangerous situation in a parking garage. She learns about this case from Billy, who no longer works as a cop. He's now a private detective, investigator, whatever. So he finds out that she was in this situation, I guess she tells him. And he, because he feels guilty, he got her into this situation by bringing the case to her attention. He calls Axel and has him fly in from Detroit to Beverly Hills. Now, as I mentioned, parent-child relationship undertone here, like estrangements and absentee parents and things like that. That's Axel's relationship with Jane. They're estranged and haven't spoken in years. So, of course, he comes to Beverly Hills when Billy calls him, and Jane's not too happy about that. Probably even more so because when he calls her, he's calling from Beverly Hills PD because he got arrested because of a car chase that I don't know if it's a car chase, or what it counts as, because it was like a meter maid buggy car. I don't know what they call those things. You know, Billy, he tells Axel, okay, yeah, I'll pick you up at the airport. He doesn't. He tells Axel before he gets off the phone, I gotta check out one more thing. I'll see you at the airport. He didn't pick him up, which should have been a red flag for Detective Foley, but, you know, nobody seemed that concerned about Billy ever this whole movie. And I just have to mention, when he arrives in Beverly Hills, he's driving down the street, and you're just seeing all the different people and everything, and I have to mention this adorable Pomeranian in little red sneakers. It's so freaking adorable that I had to mention it. Anyway, you know, Axel calls Billy, he doesn't pick up, stops by his office, and there's people going through his stuff. Suspicious, right? Clearly Billy was onto something, because you don't just disappear and have people go through your things for no reason. And that's what prompts his little run-in with the meter maid, which honestly is one of the funniest parts of the movie, right? She's ticketing his rental, and he's like, I gotta go, people are chasing me. She doesn't care. He steals her little thing, and she maces him, and then she hops on the side of it, and she's just like, it's not happening. He ends up wrecking it and getting arrested, and that's when he calls Jane, who hangs up on him twice? 3 times? I don't know. Twice, I think. The only thing that keeps her on the phone with him is, I talked to Billy last night. Now she's invested. Now she's interested and needs to know what he's saying. So she comes down to see him, meets the guy that's charging him, right? The officer that's charging him, and it's, surprise, her ex-boyfriend, Bobby. The whole time that Axel is talking to Bobby, he just wants to talk to Taggart. And he's like, you're not. That's weird. Like, how do you even know him? Finally, he gets to see Taggart, and that's when he meets Captain Grant, who's played by Kevin Bacon. And I gotta say, I love that. I love when movies bring back, like, the same characters or the same actors and don't recast characters if they can. Like I said, Kevin Bacon. The minute I saw him, I got bad guy vibes, right? He's dressed very nice. He's dressed nicer than anybody else in the precinct, which, if you don't know, being a cop's not necessarily a lucrative career choice, even in Beverly Hills, right? So it's weird that he's wearing this really nice blue suit, which this movie takes place over the course of a couple of days, and I feel like every time I see him, he's in the same blue suit, so maybe he only has the one. But his really nice suit was kind of like, to me, oh, that's a little suspicious, right? Axel calls him out for his watch later on, which just reaffirmed to me, yeah, him having this, like, really nice Rolex is a little bit weird. You find out that Captain Grant is involved with some things he ought not be involved in. Taggart trained him. He can't imagine that possibly being the case, which explains why Billy, who was working this case before he became a private detective, this, like, cartel case, you know, it would always kind of fall through, or there wouldn't be enough evidence or whatever, because there were people on the inside working to set it up the way they wanted it, right? Axel, because now this involves his daughter and his friend, is running his own investigation in the way only Axel Foley can. Which, honestly, he's got no jurisdiction in California, so I don't know how he's doing this, but, I mean, not that he has help from anybody, except Bobby, who ends up getting suspended. So he's got time on his hands to help out. They go to see a house for sale, Bobby and Jane and Axel, and he calls in an old friend, Serge, and I loved that. And again, it's a character I enjoyed from the other movies, and he's played by Bronson Pinchot, who I grew up watching on Perfect Strangers, and I loved that show. But Serge takes them to see the house for sale next door that is being shown by the most obnoxious real estate agent I've ever met in my life. Axel hops the fence, right? It's really like a dividing wall, and snoops around at the cartel house. And that leads them to the idea of, hey, why don't we go talk to the uncle of that guy Jane's representing, you know, that he was working for, that got involved in this situation, and see what he has to say. So they went to go see him at a bar. I can't remember if he owns the bar or just hangs out there, but the uncle works kind of in the same world as the cartel guys, kind of in the same ring, and he hangs out at this bar. So I don't know who was more surprised, them or me, when they walked in and saw Luis Guzman sitting in a recliner in like a robe singing, because that was not what I was expecting. Kleiner just up on a stage. It's just, so they talk to him for a little bit. They get some information about this pier or dock or whatever, right? Something down by the ocean, right? One of those shipping, it's like a shipping yard type thing. Doesn't really give them much else, right? And he's only helping out because Jane's helping his nephew, right? And he doesn't want his nephew going down for something he didn't do. When they leave, they find themselves surrounded by police because Grant had set them up. And Foley gets arrested again, and so does Bobby now. But, as we know, that doesn't stop Axel Foley. A pair of handcuffs cannot stop Axel Foley. Apparently, it can't stop his daughter either because he taught her well. So, while Grant's out of the room, Axel slips his cuffs, undoes the vent in the ceiling, and even I fell for this because I was not expecting it to be a misdirect. He puts a chair on the table, so when Grant comes back in, he thinks he went up into the air vent. But he didn't, he was hiding. So, he kind of like gets the jump on him, and then he says, "You watch too many movies." And I was like, "I too thought you went into the ceiling, sir, and I do in fact watch a lot of movies." So he goes to get Abbott, and they realize they can't get out through like a traditional exit, right? They can't go out a door because everyone's been alerted, right? So their only way out is up. Now, Bobby used to be an LAPD helicopter pilot. Not anymore. But he was. So Foley leads him to the roof and says, "You're gonna fly us out of here?" And he said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." Doesn't have a choice, ends up getting in. He's freaking out. And we learn he doesn't fly anymore because he's crashed a helicopter and he doesn't mentally feel like he can do it anymore. Understandable. I would never get in one again. Hell, I don't even get on planes now. Alright, so now we're in this helicopter situation. It's not even in the air. Grant says they're below radar, so they can't track them. It's on the ground. It is moving on the ground like a car, and it's insane. I could only imagine, like, if that actually happened. It would be bananas to see. But, they end up kind of back in front of BHPD, and Taggart's there. They're being chased down by Grant in a car. So Grant gets out, and in front of Taggart is just shooting at this helicopter, and it's crazy. It's like, just in front of people you're doing this now. Okay, like, I guess he just stopped caring. Or thought he could explain it away, maybe. Yeah, the helicopter lands on a golf course right in front of Shooter McGavin, interrupting his golf game, and I'm pretty sure the only person who can do that is Happy Gilmore. Now, I don't know if this character is meant to be Shooter McGavin or not. He's played by the same guy. And he's got the same kind of attitude. They don't give him a name, but I feel like every time you see this actor and he's playing a character that's golfing, that's immediately who you're gonna think of, Shooter McGavin. So they direct him, "Oh, there's a lady in the helicopter, go help her," right? And while he's not looking, they hijack his golf cart and take off for the clubhouse with the intent to borrow some keys from the valet, which I gotta say, I really like this valet character. If you've seen any movie, really, where people come up to a valet and in a situation like this where they're like running from somebody or a part of a chase or something and they need a car, they'll always say to the valet, "Give me keys." And the valet's usually like, "Whatever, I don't care, take whatever you want, not my car." Not this guy. I like this because I feel like it's more realistic. Like, I'm not jeopardizing my job. I've got kids. I've got a dog that needs a hip surgery. I've worked here 10 years. I am not jeopardizing my 10-year career at this place for whatever nonsense you have going on, you know. So he leaves to go help a member of this golf club thing that they're at. And Abbott just, you know, very, very slick. You don't even see it happen, just has a pair of keys in his hand, and he's like, "Here you go." I don't think they teach that at the police academy, but okay. So finally, they get to this dock pier shipping yard and find Billy. It's been like 2 days, and I feel like I was the only one this entire movie that was actually concerned about Billy. Like, yes, he's a grown adult, but if you've been calling him for 2 days and you know he was supposed to meet you at the airport and he's not answering you and he's not calling anyone back, That's a red flag, Detective Foley. You should be telling Taggart and filing a missing persons. I'm just saying. Not that they would have found him, probably, but they end up in yet again a third car chase. A third one. Which results in Axel driving the truck through the front of the cartel house. Which then turns into a shootout, and apparently Billy is just thriving in that situation. Taggart tells him he's a lunatic, and yeah, maybe Billy's a little bit crazy. Maybe he is. But he had also just been, like, kidnapped and, like, tortured and held captive for, like, 2 days. He hates these people, I would imagine. And then we get the confrontation between Grant and Axel, where, again, Grant is wearing that blue suit. I could be wrong in their different suits, but they looked very similar, if not the same to me. But Grant, horrible, evil villain that he is, gets what he deserves, courtesy of Bobby Abbott, and all's well that ends well in Beverly Hills. Until the next movie, which apparently they're already making, so brace yourself for Beverly Hills Cop 5. That's all for this video. Please feel free to subscribe if you want. Click like if you feel like it. If you want to recommend something, please do so in the comments down below. I gotta go take some cabinet doors off in the kitchen. I'll see you guys next time. Be excellent to each other. Bye.